had a call once with a parent whose child came into school late every single day. I'm talking the school day starts at 8, let's say, and this child comes into school at 10 every day. I remember speaking to the mother and asking her, what are you going to do about this? And her response was, what are you going to do about this? And guys, let me tell you right now, I was spun. I was floored. I was bemused. I was baffled. I was all of the words that you can think of, because why are you asking me, the teacher, what I'm going to do about your child not getting to school on time? See, prior to this, I'd always assumed that the school had less power than the home when it came to changing the behaviour of the child. This isn't always the case. Sometimes children are so out of control that parents simply don't know how to enforce any rules at home. In actuality, they're looking to the school to create consequences, to enforce boundaries, to essentially raise the child. As teachers, we cannot create a new child. We also can't raise your child for you. If you are leaning on the school in this way, I would argue that your child just might be raising themselves. Let me know how you would have responded to that kind of question. And maybe I'll do a part 2 where I let you know what I said.
It's trigger thoughts, where the real ones speak. From the blocks to the boardrooms, every truth unique. Geniusman, Verbz, divine lady 23. Shaking up the system for the world to see. It's trigger thoughts.
Listening to Triggered Thoughts, blood.
Yo people, welcome to another episode of the Triggered Thoughts Show. I am your man Verbz.
Man, Geniusman.
And your girl at Divine Lady 23.
So listen people, based off of the video that we just watched, you know, there seems to be a very concerning trend of modern day parents, I should say, that is depending on school teachers to literally help parent their child. You know, we just heard the lady give the example of a child not getting up to go to school and the parent asking the teacher, what are you going to do to help, you know, encourage the child to get up and go to school, which is absolutely diabolical, mate. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And there seems to be this trend, like people ain't taking accountability for what they're supposed to be doing as parents. And because they're not implementing strong boundaries within the home, you're now seeing when children are being pulled up for their behaviours or not getting up to go to school or poor attitude towards education or whatever not, and the teachers have to speak to the parents, you're now seeing parents blame teachers or basically tell them they should be doing more, which is a madness within itself. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to follow up with asking first off to you guys, you know, what do you think about this particular issue that appears to be a growing trend?
For me, I feel it's easy for parents to, you know, expect the teachers to have, you know, accountability for their children's actions, because they probably will see it as, well, the child is at school a majority of the time Monday to Friday. So instead of the parents owning up to it being their responsibility to bring up that child and making sure that that child is, you know, schooled correctly in terms of their behaviors, anytime they step out of line, they kind of now pass that buck to the school and make it seem that it's the teachers doing, because hold on, I bring him to school, but it's your job to make sure that you enforce boundaries, the correct behaviors, attitude. And for me, it doesn't make any sense, because obviously the child is a product of the environment. So if you're bringing up your child the right way, you know, in terms of mannerisms, the expectation of how they're supposed to behave and, you know, doing the stuff that you're supposed to be doing, attention, making sure that they're doing their homework, all these things, then there should be no way where you now turn and say to any teacher for that matter that, you know, it's your responsibility to make sure that the child is, you know, doing the right thing. Hold on, did the teacher birth that child? Or did you birth that child? You see what I mean? Let's make sense out of nonsense, because that doesn't even make any logical sense. You see what I mean? There's no way, if I ever found myself, in a place where I'm telling a teacher or teachers that, you know what, my child is messed up because of you. I know I've done lots of screw loose. I'm telling people, when you see me, beat me up and call the people for the straight jackets.
Not beat me up.
Yeah, you need to go that deep, yeah?
Yeah, but you just what I mean, because you know that this is no longer genius speaking. It's a spirit has taken over because it's madness. It's madness, and for me also, it shows blatant lack of accountability because you know that you've screwed up as a parent, but because you don't want to admit that, it's easy to turn and say, well, they're at school majority of the time. They're at school from, you know, what, this time in the morning till when I pick them up. You should be, your eye should be on that child. You should be making sure that they're doing the right thing. All this sort of stuff, and it doesn't make any sense. Teachers have 20 plus students in a class. So they do what they're paid to do, which is teach. It's not a teacher's responsibility to make sure that a child is, brought up, the way that a parent is expected to bring up a child. Does that what I mean? Doesn't make any sense. A teacher is there to teach a child, not to enforce boundaries, which is more from the parental side. Yes, they will enforce boundaries when it comes to school behaviors. But in terms of the basics and them coming from a household, no, there's supposed to be things put in place that you as parents should enforce in your children. So if it's not done, you failed your child, period.
Yeah.
Good speech there still, you know what I mean? So let me just continue, because what I did miss out on saying, but I'm going to add it now, is, ladies and gentlemen, this episode is actually called Accountability Swerving Parents. So, just to put that into perspective, following what Genius has just said, which I think is very fitting. So well done, Genius. Yeah. Divine. Sistren, what do you think on this growing trend of modern day parents coming with this attitude where they feel that teachers need to be helping with disciplining children, well, not disciplining, but, encouraging children to know how to behave and having the right attitude towards education and drive to attend school and that. What do you think about this this expectation from some, or I would say many, modern day parents? Because I used to work in a school, so I've seen it quite a bit myself, which is why I chose the subject. What's your thoughts?
Personally, my personal opinion, I think it's a bit delulu, but at the same time, I also understand that everyone's circumstance isn't the same. So you may have some parents who have special needs and they're raising a kid. Those kind of circumstances, I think, may kind of differ. Do you know what I mean? Because the kid might actually not listen to their parent if they have special needs or certain disabilities, and might actually listen to the school more than they do to the guardian. And it might not be because the guardian isn't doing what they're supposed to be doing. It might just be because of their disabilities or things that they are going through. They're not able to cope, right? But honestly, I feel like, yes, it takes a village to raise a child, but it starts from the home first. It starts from the home because that's where you set certain morals and values and principles. Like, your kids are not going to know to just go out into the world and behave and interact a certain way. There's things you have to implement into them. You have to teach them. Like, my kids know, respect your elders, but at the same time, if you feel threatened by an elder or like they're trying to invade your space in an uncomfortable manner, you also have a voice, right? But don't just think it's acceptable to be disrespectful. And just because you see the other people in your class clowning your teachers or doing certain things, don't think you're one of the fucking clowns, because you're not. Literally, that's my stance on it. I'm very like, I believe that parents and the teachers should work together because neither job is easy. And to be honest, like I said, it does take a village to raise a child. So I've always tried to have the stance as a parent that it's my job to implement certain things, but then it's also my job to work with the school so that everyone has an understanding of what's going on and what type of child they may be dealing with, because
Mm.
I should know, right? It's my
Yeah.
child.
Mm.
But I don't know. I think there's a lot of children raising children, if I'm honest.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
And it don't even matter if they're in their 20s, 30s, or 40s. I think a lot of people don't know how to parent because they wasn't fully parented themselves, i.e. their parents didn't really parent them. Their parents tolerated them. Because when you parent a child, there's a certain care and balance that you try to give them. No one's ever going to get it right. That's the first thing I could say. No one gets it perfect, but you try to give them a certain balance and healthy, like, environment, you know, but you also let them know where they're going wrong, because they need to understand accountability. They need to understand that the world doesn't just revolve around you. Do you know what I mean? And when an elder is talking to you, if you know that you need to be quiet and listen, then do that. Don't embarrass yourself. Don't embarrass your name, because your name is going to follow you everywhere. And your name will hold weight, whether you think so or not. It will, depending on what you do. So I think it's unrealistic for parents to think that a teacher should have more say-so over your child getting up on time to go to school. That's the Lulu to me. I'm like, yeah, it doesn't make sense at all. Because is the teacher supposed to come to your house to wake that child up? I just want to know. I just want to know how the teacher's supposed to do it. Because as far as I was aware, teachers don't even get paid enough. In my opinion, they don't get paid enough for some of the work that they actually do, and the different personalities that they get to deal with. And the children, some come from very strenuous backgrounds, so they bring that energy into school. And if it wasn't for some of the teachers, God knows where those children will be.
It's true.
Yeah.
Very good key points that you mentioned there still. I like that. You know what I mean? Yeah, definitely. I do think, teachers, they don't get paid a lot. Do you know what I mean? It's a bit like the nurses, isn't it? Like, it's a over demanding job with, you know, a underpaid salary. Do you get what I mean? And we have to kind of be careful how much pressure we're piling on the teachers, because, you know, they're stressed. They got their own lives to live. God knows what is happening in their own house. They come into school, the pressure of teaching children, marking children's work. Now how long it takes these teachers to mark. They have to go home with work, you know.
Yeah.
To mark. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. And then you want to be implying that these teachers should be, helping to teach your children about boundaries and respect and attitude and time management. You get me? But I'm gonna give an example on the note that you brought up there, Divine, about you saying like you're not sure how teachers are supposed to help with with helping encouraging children to get out of bed and attend school. I've done a lot of support work in schools. When I used to go into school to do mentoring and family support work and stuff like that, I had the disprivilege of being sent to children's homes to go and get them out of bed by the schools. Yeah.
Okay.
And not gonna like piss me off. Do you know what I mean? Because I know we're not meant to judge because of circumstances and that, but I do thoroughly believe that whether your child has got a disability or not, yes, I know it's going to be somewhat challenging. With learning, I'm trying to think of the right word to say, a learning difficulty, an actual disability or whatever, not mental health, whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be more challenging. We have to be realistic, but everything starts at home. Like you eventually built up to saying, everything starts at home. And I do think it's not beneficial for any family to have no boundaries in their house, but then have boundaries. The children learn about boundaries and show a different face where they respect the boundaries and that somewhere else. I just think that's not that's not positive at all. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Because you're going to come home with a certain behavior. You're going to go to another environment with a certain So what those parents are essentially telling me is that if those teachers help those children to understand how to behave, how to have the right attitude and so on and so forth, either they're slightly hoping that filters into their own home and a child comes with different behavior at home, which ain't going to happen if you're not implementing boundaries. Children adapt to environments, don't they?
Yeah,
100%.
definitely.
You know what I'm saying? You got loads of children which, whether you lot can remember when you was younger or when you was older, you may have known of young cousins that was alongside you, or you might see nieces and nephews and that now, where they behave a certain way at their parents' yard, but when they come to your yard, they behave different.
Yeah, it's true.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They can stay at your yard for 24 hours, 48 a week. They're behaving different. But as soon as the parent comes to the yard to pick them up, you start see the behavior start to slip back into its original, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Original displays of behavior. You know what I'm saying? So parents need to take accountability and stop swerving and expecting teachers to sort out this problem for them. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I had to go to the house and get this kid out of bed. A few kids, to be fair, but one particular I had to go to the house and get him out of bed. I came there with, full empathy in the beginning and was trying to encourage the mum on what to do, gave her pointers in terms of boundaries. This kid had, the typical the PlayStation, was playing it till late hours and them kind of things there. I encouraged her to put like like a curfew time on the use of the PlayStation. So after a certain time, maybe say to the child, like, you know what, most children go to bed. This is a secondary school kid, so let's just say 9 o'clock, 9:30. Most children go to bed around that time. I'll give you the privilege of starting off going to bed at, say, 11 o'clock. Be realistic, because that youth stays up till 3, 4 in the morning. Yeah? So even if you say 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, even if you say 1, it don't matter. Yeah?
Yeah.
And then slowly start telling the child that you're going to start to drop it and bring it down. So eventually you get to a place where it might be 11 o'clock and that child will start to get enough sleep. And if they go to sleep at the curfew time that you're working with, they come back from school, they can do their homework, you can give them their PS again, if you get what I'm saying. And then because that thing's set in stone, they'll work with you. I tried to give her all those little pointers, weren't happening, mate. She weren't implementing nothing, so I found myself again ringing, oh yeah, he's still in bed. I tried to get him to come out, but he just swore at me and rare. So I had to go to the house, knock the door. You get me? He's blanking me because he knows I'm a bit of a disciplinarian, although I'm fair. You get me? I'm like, how come you're still in your bed, man? You know what I mean? Oh, yeah, I was tired last night. I said, well, you're going to have to sort out the PlayStation thing, man. I'm going to encourage your mum to start removing it. But no matter what I did, she just didn't follow through. But then she was always saying, oh, he needs to go to school and he's missing his education and rare. So at one point now I got kind of fed up with the mum and I said, at what point do you take personal accountability?
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? She's like, what do you mean? Yeah. I said, I'm a realist. At what point do you take personal accountability? I've given you all of these pointers to encourage you. Some parents don't even get the privilege of getting this support. You know what I mean? And I'm real as well. Like, I can relate to your son because your son is a ethnic child. Even if it's a white boy, I can still relate to them. Yeah. Because I know the problems they're going through.
Family?
Mixed.
Okay.
Yeah. British mum, white mum.
Where was the dad?
No dad about.
Okay. Yeah.
And like I said, I've given you all these pointers and you're just not even trying to do them. It's like you fear the child.
Yeah.
This is what I'm seeing a lot in households. Parents that claim that they're bold and may even in public deal with their child a certain way, like raise their voice and stuff like that. Deep down inside, they're scared of their kids, man. And they're scared of authorities.
Yeah, so
maybe it's the Jamaican in me, because boy, we would like to see you try little box, you know.
Careful, you wouldn't do that really. You wouldn't do that. She was lying. I
can't lie. If my child tried to fight me or have me up,
You have to defend yourself, innit?
I'd be like, do you know where your mom's from though? Right. Why do you want to bring out the Brixton Hill Tuss Hill for me? Why? No,
That's mad.
Even just them not getting up out of bed, I can't lie. Just understand that if your black ass don't get up, yeah, then there's going to be consequences. You're going to get a detention, and I'm going to be happy that you got a detention.
But do you know that some of these kids that I've worked with, yeah, when they get a detention, you know, they don't care, and they told the teacher, I'm not even turning up to detention. You can give me what you want, I'm not going. Simple and plain. And then the detentions, I see teachers trying to give more. The detentions are billing up, and I have to say to the teachers, why are you giving this youth more detentions if he's done told you he's not turning up to none of them, and he hasn't?
But that in itself, you can see, is where there's lack of discipline in the household.
Yeah, that's what I'm
saying.
saying.
What I mean? Because if the parents were strict and there were boundaries put in place, there's no way that a child should feel confident enough to tell a teacher, a grown-ass teacher, that they are not coming or doing any detention. It says that that child is used to speaking above authority. They don't respect authority, and they don't expect their parents. If they're doing that at school, know that they're doing that at home. Period.
That's a very good point. But also, you know, Genius, what I will add to that still is, although I believe that probably 80% of the time with that scenario you just given, you're right. But there is also another culture in schools where kids go to school and your kid could be good as gold, and they're hanging around with certain kids who ain't even like bad. They're just rebellious, if you get what I'm saying. They're not, yeah. And these kids have got this culture among them now where they say they hate certain teachers, and it's a lot of them.
I've seen that. Yeah.
80% of the teacher. Oh, I hate that teacher. And their thing is, when they hate that teacher, they're not listening to them. They're criticizing. They don't even know how to teach. They even got no manners. They started on me. They're trying to stop me from getting my education. I don't really care about that. They're shut down from that subject or whatever now. And it's a culture that passes among a group of friends where they all say it. You know what I mean? I've had to pull my daughter and say to her, I've heard you say that a few times, rub that out, blood. You know what I mean? She's like, oh, but dad, you don't understand, and so it's not about understanding. You get me? Certain teachers can be a pest. They'll always be that. But I said, you have to find it within yourself to find a way to respect the teacher. You get me? And you have to find a way, even if you don't respect them, you have to find a way to hide that. You get me? And play the game. And she's like, what do you mean? I said, you have to learn the art of being able to blag your way through certain situations. If you don't like a teacher, understand the power that teacher has over you. And she didn't understand. I said, that teacher is your maths teacher. If you don't get on with them, that means when you do your final GCSEs, rub out maths, because you're not getting that. Because they're going to kick you out of the classroom and all them things, because they feel your energy. Nah, I can't deal with this. Or they're going to spend, even if they don't kick you out, they're going to spend less time educating you and not go overboard to over-explain to you when you're struggling with certain things, because they can feel you don't like them, so they don't like you. You know what I mean? Yeah, and then they know that they can mash you up from getting your maths GCSE eventually.
It's true.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you want your maths GCSE, you have to find a way to get the key from that teacher. And you're not going to be doing that by telling yourself, your mind, and others that you hate the teacher.
Yeah, it's true.
You know what I'm saying? And that's happening a lot. I thought teachers are not here to be your friends. If they're being strict, it's not nice, don't get me wrong. Of course, no children want somebody over strict. But I said the reality of the matter is, that's the reality of life. Because when you come out of school, these kids have got this illusion where they feel when they come out of school, the gates open up and there's no boundaries. It gets harder. There's unwritten rules outside called laws that you can't see physically. And they're out there waiting for you. And there might be a little tiny sign on the lamppost that tells you when you're an adult, don't drink on this road. There's one sign there, you know, and the road's like 300 yards long. And you ain't seen that sign because it's not in eye shot. It's higher up than your head. And then you walk there and you bust open your beer, you know, and start drinking down the road. Then the police come and then dish you out £100 fine. Now you have to pay.
Exactly.
But when the teacher was giving you certain rules that you're supposed to follow, when your parents was giving you rules you're supposed to follow, and you was bracking them, thinking, when I become an adult, I won't have to deal with these rules no more. The laws are waiting for you, blood.
Yeah.
You get me? And you have to learn to follow them. Otherwise, you end up in jail.
Yeah.
You end up in handcuffs.
And it ain't always sunshine and roses round here.
That's what I'm saying.
Up.
You can't argue that the teacher told me to do this and I didn't want to do that. So so when you go in a shop and they tell you, please don't go in that section over there because that section's closed. Can you stay over here, please? That's forbidden. That's the staff. And you walk in there anyway, there's consequences.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
Why are you being ignorant though? Yeah, for real.
And that's what a lot of these kids nowadays are doing. I wouldn't say all, because you've got some tremendous kids where you have to give them thanks and praise because they're doing great works. You get me? Yeah, I mean, they're very intelligent, they're very skilled, they're growing up to be very good professional or, you know, people that have started their own business, whether they got their education or not. They're finding a way.
Yeah.
And they're setting some serious trends and examples out here. Do you know what I'm saying? But like, there's a lot of kids out here doing foolishness.
Yeah.
Based off of parents.
And it's true, it's because the schools are raising them. Once the school is raising your kid, you have a massive problem on your hands because you have literally dropped the ball, because what the school will be teaching your kids will be some treacherous shit sometimes. And when I say the school, I mean them learning from other children and then displaying that same behaviour and thought process. And it's like, now your child doesn't have
Take the
any
vibration
leadership.
off that phone, cuz, please.
You know, your child has no leadership in them. They're just a follower. They go wherever the herd goes. It's like, I always taught my children, nah, you're not no follower. Trust me. Even if you're the only one that stands for it and it's the truth, stand for your truth. Yeah. Straight up. Don't be no follower, because I'm just going to be side-eyeing you as your mum. We don't do that around here. We are leaders. Literally. And you don't have to be the loudest one in the room. Sometimes keep quiet and observe. Literally. Don't let the left hand know what the right hand's doing all the time.
Good saying.
You know?
Good saying. That's like a classroom in school is like a melting pot, especially like a mainstream school. It's like a melting pot of, or a blend of different children from different cultures, different walks of life. Mostly, because you have to be honest. I'm not trying to judge, but I'm being honest. Most of them are coming from families that have generations of dysfunction that's passed on to them, and they're all in one environment, bruv. And your child is taking a piece of everything. So if you're a parent who is not observant, who is not checking in on their child, who is not implementing certain things, who is not teaching them about self, who is not teaching them about the importance of following rules and the consequences of not following rules. Do you get what I'm saying? The importance of discipline, the importance of determination, all of these things that are going to make them grow up to become successful young adults into full-fledged successful adults. If you're not teaching them these things and you're letting the world and the classroom of dysfunctional kids seep into your youth's mind, these are the examples that you're going to end up with.
Yeah. Your child will be lost before they've even started. There's no hope.
That's what I'm saying.
And that's so like, that's sad to think how many people actually let that happen. Because for me, the two things I don't want to ever fail at in life, I'm going to make mistakes, obviously.
Of course.
But when my time is done, the two things I don't want to have failed at is following what God wanted me to do and his guidance, and raising my children. Literally, that's what I care about. Because I know if I follow God's guidance, then I'll be alright with the world, innit? Some people may not like me, but hopefully most will say I'm cool.
We're not here to be liked by everyone, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I would have followed what God
Better.
told me to do. So some will understand the journey, some won't. And then my children, I would have given them the best guidance. That's the only two things, because I can't lie. If you're not teaching your kids certain things, you are doing them a disservice
100%.
because they're your gift, literally. They're your chance to like even just change the narrative of how things go for your legacy. Like,
Yeah, it's true.
I'm like, I make my children know when you place your feet on the ground when you wake up, I hope the devil is frightened of you because he sees your might coming. He sees it. He feels it. Like you'll always be blessed and covered because you always know to plant good seeds and just be respectful. Have boundaries, obviously, and self-respect so you don't let people take liberties with you, but know yourself, like actually know yourself differently, not the world telling you who you are or because you're just following people like one headless rat. Like, make no sense.
For real.
You know what I think is, as well is there's a big difference between this generation and our generation. And I think if you was to ask me what the difference is, I would say that I feared my teacher, so there would never be a time where I'd think it was acceptable to even be rude to a teacher. There was a boundary, like teacher was authority, and you just wouldn't do it. And I think the government
you knew they had some kind of power in it.
Yeah, but do you know what it is when the government now started to take away, the parental disciplines from the parents, and now they started to bring in this thing called, when they say that, when parents discipline their children, they're calling that child abuse. And then on top of that, to make it worse, not only that, you then now educate these children by bringing in people like social services or governmental officials into the school to now, probe or sort of find out for the children how things are at school. You get them to complete quotas to find out, are you eating in the evenings? Who lives in your household? Is it just you or your parents? What time do you go to bed? So now you get the children to complete these quotas. Yeah. You make the parents unaware of it, but you give these children these quotas to complete. This information now goes back to the council. Not only is it a way of spying, yeah, to find out what's taking place in the household, but now you are now trying to create like some sort of rebellion in the home, because now you're allowing that children to understand that actually, you know what? Not everything you need to tell your parents. We kind of sort of allow you a bit of power now to be able to say, say what you want. I'll give you a prime example. I think it was one of my sisters from my dad's side. She was saying, you saying to the mum, you can't, if you hit me, I can ring social services and I can get you arrested.
Regular thing that.
So now, what you have now is you've sown a seed of rebellion in these youth. So now they feel that they can do anything without repercussion. You as the parent now, you touch me, I'm going to get you done. So there are some parents, and I know some parents are like, you know what? I'll bust up your rotted in there and I will call social services. And then you know what I mean? And you get them to take that. You know what I mean? But then on the other hand, you have some parents that, are intimidated by that.
Yeah.
And, and as a result of that, now they give in and they allow the child to have their way. The moment now you remove discipline from the homes, you now have anarchy. Not only anarchy, you now have a rebellious child or children. And the end result now is what we see now happening in this day and age. Knife crime, child killers, teenage killers, no respect for authority. Yeah. You see what I mean? People now do what they want. Like even where was I the other day? Even imagine it takes a pregnant woman that clearly has a badge that says, baby on board, to ask you to give up the seat.
Yeah, that's
in
regular.
My day and age, yeah, but in my day and age, like if I see an elderly person, naturally I've been brought up with morals and principles.
Mm-hmm.
Give up the seat. But you're finding now that these people, especially the heavily pregnant women, they now having to beg for that seat because they physically, they need it. So if you see the destruction And I would say not only is the government to blame, but the minute now as parents, if we fail to do our part as parents by, putting in place, things like morals, principles, respect for authority, making sure that we conduct ourselves, that children conduct themselves in the right manner not only when they're at school, but even when they go out, when they're not even, in our presence. But not only that, just we let them know that, look, this is a no-no. If you're out there, you're in public, you're representing me. So if I find out and I hear that you're behaving like this, no, there's going to be consequences. But
Who says that, cuz? I'm going to let you land in a second. Who says that? Which parents say that?
But that's what I'm trying to say. This is the parents of old. That's
the old parents, The modern parents, they're like, no, even if you come back and you say, I saw you doing this, enough of them are going to be like, not my child, or I ain't trying to hear that from you.
Oh no, my kids know. Everybody knows you where we live, so.
But you're not modern. You're still somewhat old.
Yeah?
You're somewhat old school still. But I'm saying these modern young ones, when I've spoken to them, that's how they talk. Especially the mums.
Yeah.
It's denial, isn't it?
Yeah, the dads will hear it. Not all, but some. But the mums, they're like, nope, you can't tell me nothing about my youth. Because the problem is friendship. Mum and child are friends. They operate like friends.
But this is the problem though. There should never be a time or ever where the child can feel that they're on the same level as the parents, because you're only setting yourself up for problems.
There you go.
There must be a level to know that, you know what, I'm your dad, I'm your mum. No way you ever think that we're on the same level. You have to cut them down to size.
Yeah.
If not now, you see what I mean? They will now feel that they can do what they want, and they feel that, you know what, it won't be challenged. But if this is the problem, if you don't set these boundaries in the beginning, it becomes a problem now when you try and reinforce it in the later stages of growing up. Literally.
Definitely, you have to implement it.
Yeah. I'd say we're a team. So everyone must do their part not to let the team down, but they always know there's a captain of the team, right?
There's nothing wrong with that. That's cool.
Everybody has to play their position. We as a team. So even when I used to say to them, like, right, on Saturday, right, guys, we're going to tidy up. You're going to do, and I give everyone a job. You see, if I hear, but I didn't make that, do I look like I care?
Yeah, that's how I am.
I don't business if you didn't make all that mess. I'm standing at the sink washing all these dishes. Did I use all these dishes? No, I didn't. Did I use all these clothes that I'm about to wash, these different piles of multiple clothes in multiple colours? No. So I don't want to hear that, because teamwork. Yeah? Everybody has to play their part. Get up straight. But I feel like, I don't know, do you feel like kids follow what you do as a parent? Because sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But I think
sometimes it depends on what it is. I think selectively they might follow certain things.
Can I be honest?
Yeah.
I believe that children are a product of their environment. If you are now turning around and saying to you, I'll give you a prime example, you turn around and say to your child, I don't want you swearing, but you're someone that swears, and you constantly swear, you cast in the household. You now want to correct that child. You know what will happen now? But the child will be like, but you swear. So already now, what you're...
I ain't gonna lie, I do that, and my kids have said that to me one time, but I'm like, so?
Yeah, but
then you're being a hypocrite, because you're not even...
it's true.
No. Let me explain. I am to some extent, I agree. I'll take accountability on that. But what I will say is, I firmly believe old school, like, not everything is for everybody. When you become an adult, if you feel the need to, not that I'm ever encouraging them to, but if you feel the need to swear, you can do that. I'm clearly the adult. I'm showing you I'm the difference. I'm different from you. You get me? Just because you see me using it, when I use it, I don't use it in common conversation. I use it as a form of expression when I'm pissed off, or I'm frustrated, or I'm over passionate about a conversation or something like that. I'll use it, and I've explained that to them. But I said, you should never bring that up to me, because I'm a grown ass adult. I already know how to navigate my way around the world. You don't. So if you walk into certain spots and you try to follow me and swear, you're going to get yourself in problems. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And plus, it doesn't matter what I do, you can never swear in my house. You can't make me, if you go out a road, I got no control over that. But don't make nobody ever come back and tell me, say they heard you doing a barrage of swearing on road. Otherwise, there's going to be problems.
Yeah.
You get me? So I set
Your
the
little
trend. I'm
potty
letting them,
mouth.
that's my way of letting them know I'm the adult, you're the youth.
Yeah, because we got our mouth washed out with soap back in the day. So if you want
100%.
some of that, you can have some of that, mate.
100%. You know what I
That's
mean?
what I remember, boy. Get your mouth washed out with soap if you did too much of that, boy.
Yeah, I
And
remember
it was
that.
real life soap. Like,
Yeah.
they didn't play about. It was
They did that in school.
treacherous.
I see them do it in school to the youth, blood. You know what I mean?
It was so treacherous.
That'd be called child abuse now.
A lot of
It
things
would
will be
be,
called
but-
child abuse now. If you raise your voice, it'll be called child abuse now.
Oh, talking
Yeah.
of that, have you heard that they want to announce it, ban smacking? That's another thing. So you would
They somewhat done that anyway, though, innit? Like they somewhat did that to some extent because they were like, you can't smack. Well, you can. They didn't say you can smack. They
as
basically
long as you
said
don't
that-
use a mark.
Yeah, as long as you don't leave a
Yeah.
mark. That's basically what they said. But I know Scotland and Wales banned that completely from a couple of years ago, innit? I think 2020 maybe, around the COVID mark, they banned it. But I know England wants to do that now. But to be honest with you, I'm not even being funny. Like, I don't really smack my kids like that. But if I felt the need to, no government ain't telling me what the fuck to do. You know what I mean? Because I'm brazen enough. I know how to speak to social services. I bad up social workers all the time through work and that. You get me? Whether I'm writing an email or whatever. Not. If they were to come here, I'd be like, mate, I know why I need to implement this. It's not abuse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's simple and plain. I'm not trying to be in a position where my youth runs things in this house. And next thing you know, police are coming there, social services are coming there because my house is manic. I'm putting a stop to it. But if you feel the need to feel like, raw, what I'm doing is incorrect, you can take the fucking pick me now if that's what you want, but if that's what you want to do, but I'm preserving a problem from happening.
Yeah, because we
Simple
don't
and
want
plain.
he or she to be a menace to society.
Yeah, and you're not telling me how to run my household. Because if you told me how to run my household, that means my kids are going to get up in the morning and tell me to get up out of bed and go do this and that for them while they sit down and jam. That's not happening here, bruv.
No. I don't even feel like you even overly need to even beat your kids, I'll be real. Because you see,
No, not
when
beat.
I
Don't
talk...
say beat, man. Don't say beat. You're mixing up the thing.
Alright.
Yeah,
Smack
beat is a
your
very
kids.
serious word, man. Beat sound like belt and bamboo stick and all them kind of
Alright.
things. You know what I mean?
Like, smack your kids even necessarily.
Yeah.
Because, you see, when I give you one piece of look, yeah? One piece of look, old school style for real, or I open my mouth alone is going to let you know, don't ever play with me. And I'm smaller than all my kids.
Yeah,
I'm
nice
literally smaller than all of them, but I wouldn't say I've never given them like a small smack or something, but
Of course you have. You'd be lying if you ever said that.
yeah, exactly. Or a little shake, you know, you just grab
Yeah.
them and you let them
Or a
know.
conk.
Listen, yeah, exactly. Or flicking your lips, something.
Yeah.
Come on. But it was never something that I actually wanted to really even, no, I should be able to talk, and you know by my tone that I'm not the one to play with.
But you do know some youths, I mean, thank God none of your children have been like that, but there are some youths where the talking
They're
don't
stubborn.
work, blood.
The spirit is
I'm
very
saying,
stubborn.
The spirit, the talking don't work. You're gonna have to, put a little fire in there if you get what I'm saying, because
Yeah.
they don't take with the talking. There are some kids that are literally like that. Do you get what I'm saying? Like I used to smack here and there, I'm not gonna lie. Not often, but I used to smack here and there. Do you get me? But I found an alternative way. After a while, I consciously said, nah, allow it now. You know what I mean? Daughter's getting bigger, rare, allow it now, rah. And I just said to myself, like, now, I know I've got a mouth. And as you lot know, I've got a potty mouth. Like, I can cuss you, I can reduce you to tears if I wanted to cuss you, or I can embarrass you with my mouth. You know what I'm saying? And I already gave my daughter one sample of the public embarrassment with my mouth when she was moving mad. And I had to kind of let her know, if you think you're going out in public with this long face and this mood, like you run things, when I open my mouth, I'll tell you about your butt. I'm not even going to say it on there because I have to be beeping. I'll tell you about your BC, and I said it loud in the shop. And you see a couple of the school youths turn around and look like, and they started laughing at her. And when she realised, she stopped like, oh. I said, you better fix your face before I carry on. And she straightened up, blood.
Yeah.
You hear me?
It's crazy.
So don't try that walking in there and doing the long face thing with me, because I'll switch it around and you'll come out mad embarrassed.
That's my youngest. She can't TikTok.
I've grown up with the loud mouth and the cussing and the Jamaican badness in public. You ain't grown up with that. So if I give you that, you're going to think, what the heck? No, Dad, please. You know what I mean?
You don't even have to pull the trolley. You don't even know.
I'm saying.
You don't know about this. You don't know about this type of life. You're not ready for this smoke.
This is what I'm saying. But let's get back on track, man. So, have you not got any examples of any shenanigans you've seen, like these examples that we've given of children's parents coming into school and having these kind of unrealistic expectations of the kids? Like, so say for instance a fight happened or whatever, that kid's a wild kid or something, and the parents the teachers drawing the kids to speak to them, and the parents ain't taking no accountability at all and just blaming the kids. Have you not seen a lot of those kind of examples when your children were in school?
No, funny enough, I didn't, because the school my kids went to was really good. Like their primary school, they all went. So I had a 20-year relationship with the primary school.
Yeah.
Shout out to Townsend. And honestly, they were good teachers, good TAs. The headmistress did an excellent job, from my opinion. And I felt like we all worked together to make sure that all the kids was raised on sort of one accord in a sense.
Yeah.
Even though they went home to different environments, it was different, because I don't think you'll get that again nowadays.
You can get it still. There is an odd few schools that perform exceptionally well. Like my old secondary school in South London, they've been a dime a dozen. Especially now, they're performing differently, bruv. Like they make them youths lock away their phones. There's no phones in there. Like they've been doing it for a long time, and they engage the youths in certain things, and they're on a different level. You get what I'm saying? They've got the gang thing, when the local gangs come down to school and try to approach kids, the head teachers liaise with whoever. They're not scared. They will go outside and marshal the kids to the bus stop to make them safe. And they liaise with authorities and all them things there to eradicate the problem. They were in the paper one time because there was about 8 schools that the papers asked, how are they experiencing the gang grooming thing and what are they doing about it? And all the other 7 schools, when they put them, they had their name in there, and they had a silhouette of a staff representative in the paper and the building of the school, and it said decline to comment or decline to engage. My old school was the only one that engaged and said, if any schools are having a problem with it, reach out to us and we'll work with you to sort out the problem. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So occasionally you do get schools where they got very good head teachers and stuff. The only problem is sometimes the head teachers, you do sometimes get the privilege where they stay there for almost a lifetime, but a lot of times when they disappear, that's when you can find that school can sink.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying? So, So you haven't seen any examples. You are privileged, man. I've seen a few of them.
I'll give you an example. So there was a time when my youngest son was going through bullying by a kid at his school, and one thing I always teach the children is obviously if you're going through anything, let us know. And we found out that obviously you did something. It was something to do with winding up anyway, but it was unacceptable behavior. So we challenged it. Just it might have called his name a few times, and the boy said stop, and then
he's winding him up.
Yeah.
Okay, I think you said winding up. I was thinking, what do you mean winding up? Where you going with this, man? Pause.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And obviously, it happened on more than 1 or 2 occasions. And, for me, as I said, as a parent, we make sure that we tell our children that it's unacceptable for you to be bullying any children. Do not put your hands on any children. You know what I mean? We told them like it's zero tolerance. So when we found like this happened, well, not once, not twice, 3 times, I booked an appointment. I sent an email. Said, look, I need to speak to I need a meeting with the headmaster, man. We need to have a talk to see what's going on, because clearly there's things that's taking place in the school that you don't seem to be in control of. And to make it worse, this was always good to conversate and speak, with other parents. Yeah. And I find out this same said person as well is been doing the same thing for other kids. So with that additional ammunition that I've got now with that knowledge of what's going on, I brought it up and said, from my understanding, this same individual has been causing a problem amongst other children. What are you doing about it? How are you addressing this issue? Does what I mean? Because as far as I'm concerned, like if you notice that something has been happening for a long time and it's not been dealt with, you now need to take action and do something. You just what I mean? That's going on. You said, we're dealing with it, whatnot. And other times happen now and then. Obviously, it was a situation with my young one. And obviously, something took place where he had got into a little fight, something to do with him, and nothing was said. Things were taking place, and we only get to hear about it in parents' evening. So we're like, whoa. We're like, what's going on? We're hearing, this happened. You got into a fight because you wanted to use an apparatus. And I said, listen, the same way that we came down like thunder. We was like, what's going on with our child? We don't expect that. Likewise, we would like to be informed and be told if our child is doing something that's not right. I said, how is it that something like this happened a month or 2 months ago? Like, make it make sense. Yeah, we do apologize. I was like, no, it's unacceptable, because as far as I'm concerned, if I found out like it's happened before where a child was putting their hands on, we came down, we're like, what's going on? What are you doing about it? Does the parents do something? I mean, we was all guns blazing. Yeah. So we still had that same energy when we found out that our child was at fault. You see what I mean? So it's not a thing where, because I'm looking at it like, wow.
It's not one-sided.
Exactly. You see what I mean? So, even with that, and obviously the missus was like angry, was looking at the young man, was just like, in zero college, you don't do that, period. We don't want to ever hear you doing this. Is what I mean? When the child is just like kind of, you can see the guilty look, but we're just letting them know, no, we don't put up with this. He knows better. We bring them up properly. I said the same way that we came down and we spoke to 2 people in the meeting and said, look, we're not happy about this. You need to deal with it. Otherwise, we're taking it further. We need to be told if there's anything that's happened, the same way that if he falls down, we get a little note to say, he fell down, he banged his head. That's what I mean. We noticed that these things, since obviously, I think there's been a change in terms of teachers, said we're not getting any notifications, and then just to be told something happened a month ago, and we're only finding about it now. It's like, it's not acceptable. You see what I mean? So even like what you were saying here, it's prime example. So even with stuff like that, as I said before, even though you might, as a parent, that you may, enforce boundaries, and you still, sometimes there will things that will happen. But at the same time, I feel that if you have that communication and you let these teachers know that, what, we need to know everything that happens so that we can make sure that we take the appropriate action, because there's no way that, that we know that our son is being bullied, and then, does that mean all of a sudden now, does that mean with guns blazing and screaming and shouting? But then at the same time, we know that our child could be in a problem. No, we're still concerned, because as far as I'm concerned, I'm thinking about it like, how must the other parent feel? You see what I mean? But then at the same time, you have parents that know that their child is a problem, and they don't do nothing about it.
Some of them love it.
Yeah, I know. But then it says a lot about the household, because when you probe it, and you realize yourself, like, I'll give you an example. Like, I found out, obviously, someone had said to me that the same person that was bullying loads of children, he got it. I think one of the siblings was getting bullied. The mom come into the assembly and start to shout at the little kid. And I'm like, who does that? I mean, all of a sudden now, does that I mean? But bearing in mind, when your child was that's been a problem to numerous children. You weren't doing nothing, but the minute now that there's a problem, you've now grown ass adult has taken it upon yourself to go and confront that child.
Yeah,
And you've gone into the assembly hall. Does that mean to a point where a teacher's told you to get out? You see that you don't act like that period. So it just goes to show you that it's double standards.
Some people think some people think that their family is like notorious, so their family is supposed to be doing that to people. So when it happened to that little one and she came in to talk to that youth, I would imagine she came in there to show a display of that just don't be doing that, otherwise there's going to be consequences.
No, it was aggressive. It was very aggressive behaviour. Yeah, it was wrong.
Until you meet the wrong family and
there you go.
You get listen. That's one thing I don't play. Don't ever shout in my child's face. I don't care who you are. Even the teachers can't do that. I'll be real. You can still speak to them a certain way, because one thing I know about my kids, they know I don't play that.
Yeah.
Even with me, when I say shut the up, that's what I mean. Straight up. Like, why are you still talking? Like, you don't get to talk when I'm talking. Understand the authority. Even my 20-year-old still respects me. She won't make a move without asking me first, and she don't even live at home. But she'll still ask me for my approval with certain things, just purely out of respect.
She values you, though, and she's grown through and see what the teachings has made her become now. You get me?
Because you got to be able to talk to your kids, man. It starts at home. Parenting and running your children does not start at school. It starts at home. It's so fundamental that you actually have a relationship with your kid. My kid will come and tell me what they did before you come and tell me. How about that? Do you understand? And they will tell me both sides of the story, because they're bossy with it, because they know I'm going to take the time to listen and pick sense from nonsense. You understand? And I'll tell them, well, but still, you could have handled that better, though, because you don't want it to seem like you're a child that don't have manners or ain't brought up a certain way. I'll break it down to them, because you know what? I'm going to teach you stuff. That's what I'm supposed to do. I'm going to give you the best guidance, literally.
That's good, man.
I don't know why some parents struggle with it. Maybe it's just the way they were even brought up. We weren't even taught to communicate. Most parents shout at their kids. They don't even talk to their kids.
That's the key thing. That's the key thing.
Yeah.
See what Divine said there?
Yeah.
That there, and, I put up a post a few weeks ago. I think there was a lot of parents that were, on the TikTok account that were laughing and mocking the death of that young man that got stabbed 27 times, or, grown adults in laughing emojis, good and all that. And I was like, wow. The young 14-year-old that got knifed in Woolwich.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the comments on there were absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, they were
and then,
man.
Yeah, so I put up a separate post and I just said, I hope a lot of you that are doing this don't have children yourself, because half you don't even know that your child is has been groomed in a gang. You don't even know that your child is gang affiliated. You don't even know that you're probably living with a killer.
Yeah.
But you're there judging this young man, but yet, how many of you even have got your pin to your child's phone? How many of you even know the kind of people that they associate with? So before you're quick to laugh and he, ha, ha, make sure that your child is not another, like young man. Obviously, no disrespect to him, but they're not living that same lifestyle, because it's easy to laugh and point the finger, but we don't even know what's going on with our own child outside the house.
Was that on TikTok, you said?
Yeah.
TikTok is weird, because I think on TikTok, when people put the laughing emoji, it's actually their crying emoji. Because I had to research that. That's why I don't really mess with TikTok, because it confuses me.
Deep.
Because because I think on TikTok they use the crying laughing emoji as the crying emoji. It's weird. Like, it's so, that's why I don't mess with TikTok like that.
But I did see negative comments on that same boy on IG, though. Enough of them.
Yeah, you see it,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he deserved it. All feels like he deserved it.
Anytime it's a black boy, that's what comes true. Standard procedure. You know what I mean?
Or they put the usual suspects.
Yeah, all that stuff. But now what's happening now is black people and ethnic people have started doing it to the white people, and the white people are getting arrested.
Yeah, of course.
Usual suspects, send them to Rwanda. You know what I mean? I'm
do.
like,
I've seen that.
you're behaving just as bad as them though.
I can't lie, I may have put the usual suspect once or twice still.
I can understand the urge to do it because I've done.
There's
I've
a
thought
clapback.
about
It's
it.
a little clapback.
Yeah, I've thought about doing it, but at the same time,
Because I wanted to see how dumb you sound or you look when you put it. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Because I've good and bad in everything, literally.
But with them
And
people,
everyone.
no matter what way you try to kind of make them feel embarrassed by their opinions or spin it back on them, or they're just not sensible people, so they will hide. They will avoid any opportunity to look at it and take sense out of it and be like, I was wrong. They'll just find a way. They'll find another way to justify why they make those kind of comments.
Yeah, it's ignorance, isn't it?
So
Ignorant.
I wanted to my point. I wanted to make a point on something that Divine said. There's definitely a lack of communication with the parents and the children, especially so much more in this day and age. Because if you remember what Kelly and Bacassa's mum said, she said that she knew that the child was groomed from a young age and that he's been open up to a lot of stuff from a child. And I feel that she didn't have, the understanding and the knowledge of how to deal with the situation. She didn't know that she could, maybe try and get some interventions put in place to try and maybe, help him. Because if you know that your child is in a gang and you know that you cannot talk,
I'll let you land, but I'm going to challenge that still. Yeah,
because if you know that you have a child that you are aware has been groomed into a gang, you know what I mean? As a parent, for me, if I know that my child has been groomed into a gang, if I don't know what to do personally, I'm going to do a research. I'm going to reach out to maybe other parents. I'm going to reach out maybe to the council. I'm going to do everything possible to find out what can I do to try and safeguard or protect my child, because I've come into this understanding, come into this knowledge that he is now part of a gang. I've noticed that since he's been out of my presence, obviously, he's displaying these very concerning behaviors. Does that mean he's involved in the road? He's doing things that, does that mean, are, criminal activities? So does that mean, like, a lot of parents do not know how to deal with gang grooming. They don't know how to deal with, situation where their child is out of control to the point where, I think she said to him, what's happening? Who you with? He got angry and refused to say. So it already tells me that, there's not a good relationship between the mum and the child, to the point where he's very secretive. You see what I mean? And you find if you now start to delve and go deeper and you ask a lot of these parents about, how their relationship is between them and their child, you tend to find they don't even know, some of them don't even know what their child's favorite color is, let alone the activities that they do. Do you see what I mean? So, once again, and it's not always, we can't always blame the parents, but once again, once you know that there is a problem at hand, even if you don't know how to deal with it, it's just get help. We don't really have any excuse, because there's the internet now, which you can just type in. You've got Chat GPT if you're not good at internet. How can I get help with this issue? Does that what I mean? So there's just so much stuff that one can do if they really want to help their child. Does that what I mean? Because for me personally, it doesn't. We can all see what's happening. These kids are each other like crazy, man. Look at the other day, the shooting. And the thing is, they're each other in broad daylight now. It's not even night time. They're each other in front of cameras, in front of people.
Because
you're
going off track.
Yeah, go on.
You're going into the gang argument a bit too long still.
Yeah, go on.
No disrespect, with all due respect. But just to touch on what you just said there about that young boy. What you say his name was again?
Oh yeah, Mbakasa.
Yeah, his mum obviously didn't have a good relationship with him, because he was in care, innit? He was in living in a care home for years from a young age. Do you get what I'm saying? we have to be careful when we're saying certain things. I'm not trying to make you sound bad or nothing, but I'm just saying, like, if he was in care, she said he was groomed from young. I would imagine that when he was groomed when he was under social services. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then he came back in her care and he was fully involved. So she would have missed that point of where she'd have been able to seek help to support him. Do you get what I'm saying? Because they're really, gone.
Sorry to cut you. I saw like hundreds of comments where people were saying that, you know, and obviously this is the comments I read, and people are saying that wouldn't have happened to him if he wasn't in care. They're saying that at some point that she kind of failed as a mother, because they're saying, you know, not be funny, how could you allow your son to be in care? And just what I mean, so there was loads of comments, and they were very judgmental comments. People were saying that, you know, that wouldn't have happened to him if you were doing what you're supposed to do as a parent. So there was some very...
But it's easy to say that, innit?
Yeah, I know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that she's perfect and that, but it's easy to say that. Like,
it's true. I agree with you.
We all know that there are kids who are removed from care because there is a genuine, strong safeguarding risk in it, and they need to be removed. There's no option. This is why you have the child protection plan and the child in need plan. You get me? The child in need plan is the lesser serious one where they support you. The child protection is the one where they look at removing your child. Yeah. Yeah. So, as I'm saying, so we do know that there is cases where they have to remove children. We also know that there's cases where parents should get support, but because of certain dynamics, loads, I can just give a few, if you know what I'm saying. Parents that live in a certain demographic, i.e. poverty, parents that are black and ethnic get different treatment from white British parents, and that might sound like I'm being harsh, but it's factual, yeah? Those parents that are of ethnic or from impoverished backgrounds especially tend to have their children removed at a faster rate when they might not necessarily have needed to be removed. It could have been a support thing, yeah? We don't know what circumstances led to that child being removed from the home. You get me? Yeah? When the child is in social services and they're in a care home, the parent is still, it depends on the order that's been put through the court for that child to be removed. But a lot of times the parent is still got part parental responsibility for the child, but the children's home are parents parental responsibility of the child too, but they can make decisions by consulting the parent. But if it's fitting the decisions that they're going to make, they can consult the parent but still run with it if they run it through the social worker. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The reason why I say that is the children's home should have been aware of, should have alerted, and should have accessed the proper channels once they identified that there's a possibility that this youth was involved in being groomed. So it was there, even though the mum's got partial responsibility, she's not living with him. She can't see nothing. She's going to depend on the observations of the children's home, the actions of the children's home, and for them to liaise with her and say, look, this is what it is. What do you think? We're looking at putting this through, which I'm sure if she realized the safeguarding risk is high, she's not going to refuse for them to refer him to at the earliest point. You have a window. By the time he came back to her, I would imagine, because I don't know for sure, he was fully involved in the thing. Because she said, she spoke to him and she said, look, what's going on? You know, maybe I can call the police or sort this out. So she tried to sort out certain things for him. And his response was, are you mad, mum? Stay out of it. These people will kill me. You understand? So a lot of people are wagging fingers and blaming the parent and blaming, don't get me wrong, parents do have responsibility. She has to look at herself for the reason why her child was removed and whatever not. But like I said, it sounds like the parents, the children's home, and I've worked in a few of them that don't operate right, bruv. You get me? Or miss certain signs because staff ain't paying attention. It seems like they missed the opportunity to get him early intervention from a young age. And also in a lot of the care homes, it's like prison. If you put a child who is somewhat innocent and young in the prison environment, they're going to be surrounded by people from dysfunctional backgrounds that do all sorts of levels of crime and negative behavior. and they're gonna look like they're friends, but really they're grooming them, but you can't identify it because it's the children they live with.
That's deep,
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So,
yeah, makes sense.
yeah, we have to
makes
just
sense.
kind of be careful if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean?
No, facts, yeah.
Plus, not every child that's in care is there because their parent was just whatless or their parent wasn't good or whatever. Because sometimes it's circumstances where the parent is actually sick and they don't physically have anyone else to help them look after the child, literally. And sometimes, we may judge parents for putting their kids in care, but isn't it better that child go in care than actually be murdered in their own home or subjected to some very dysfunctional environments where they're stepping over feces, they're living in their own feces, there's no food, because we're seeing a lot of those stories too.
Yeah, it can't meet the child's needs.
Yeah, so it's tricky, man. It's not easy being a parent.
It's hard. Especially if you got mental health. Look at the woman in, I don't remember what area it is, but the black lady that had the mixed race kids, 3 or 4 of them, and she went to the Tesco's and then they ended up being...
And they're on a fire, dying.
The house is in fire. It's mad, you know what I mean? So, let's swing back on track, man, because I don't want to bore off the people, them, even though we're making some good points, but we're concentrating on gangs, and I think we've concentrated on that quite enough, isn't it? But alright, so do you guys feel, that in this modern climate with, what we've already discussed that seems to be taking place in school that's a bit negative from the parents and children, do you not feel that the teachers are valued and respected?
No. Because, I feel that especially nowadays, I've definitely noticed a change in, the school system. They're understaffed, they're not paid enough. A lot of the children are suffering as a result because obviously where there's a teacher shortage in the majority of these schools, they're not really getting that full attention that they need in these lessons. That's what I mean? And you end up as a result now getting a lot of teachers leaving their position and, out of frustration. And you find that they don't do the job that they're supposed to do. I'll give you a prime example. I remember, when was it last year? We went to a parents' evening, for our son. I think 2 of them at the time actually. Prior to my oldest starting secondary school, there were different times, and we was told, I think one of the parents' evening must have gone on for about 5 minutes, and the teacher was like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna have to reschedule it, the next for another day for the parents' evening." It's kind of like what? So does that mean stuff like that? So you find even down to the quality, and even down to even when you're reading the school reports as well, it's just, you notice that it was the same as last year. So it's kind of like when you
copy and paste.
That's what I mean. So when you see all these things, you now start to ask yourself, it's like, do you generally do you even like being a teacher anymore? That's what I mean. Where did it get to a point where you're just doing it for doing its sake? That's what I mean. And you look at the behaviors, you look at the attitude in terms of, it's the stuff that they say. Is there any sort of progress? Having to challenge them, can you, make sure that my child comes home with homework? If you're not on top of that, can you make sure that my child comes home with a book?
Homework seems to be getting less and less nowadays, isn't it?
Glad you know.
Really?
Yeah, man. It's terrible.
Not on this side of town.
Have you noticed?
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
hardly any homework. I'm just like, what kind of homework is like something she can do in half an hour? I'm like, when I was in school, man, each homework was at least an hour.
My kids get bare homework, fam. I got an app where it tells me every time homework's been assigned and every time they've started it. And if they haven't started it, it will tell me they've only, 3 days before it's due, it will send me a notification. Literally. I think it's called it's the Segment app or something like that. And it literally notifies me when they're homework.
Oldest has got that, he gets that.
A lot. They get a lot of homework. I'm wow.
Does your oldest get a lot of homework as well, Genius?
Yes, I get a notification via an app called Singora or something like that.
But how much homework does he get a day?
I think I'd say for the week, so he'll have multiple, history, maths, English, religion. Well, you see, with me, I tend to I tend to just, make sure to let him know that I'm on board, because I say to him, oh, your teacher just sent me an email to say that you've got this, and it tells me how much percentage of the homework is done. So I know. Yeah, I look on that laptop, because obviously they all got Google Chrome. So I look at that laptop and make sure that he's doing his homework, because with these devices, they can be on YouTube or playing games on an app. You know what I mean? So I monitor it. But as for like the primary schools, man, if I'm not really on top of it, and I'm like, he hasn't got any homework or he's not coming with a book, it's kind of like it gets missed. And the schools of old, it was compulsory, and if you didn't do your homework, then you're getting a letter, you're getting detention. So it's all changed now. I'm all hearing like, even there's so much other parents that are complaining about the quality, and so it's a good question, Verbs. I'd definitely say it's not the same, man. Not as it was when we used to go to school. Like, it was different then. The stuff that this generation of youth get away with, we couldn't get away with it back in our days, mate. There was consequences, detention, and there was things in place.
And you used to be able to get detention the same day after school. If you was in school,
they do down here, boy.
Is it? No, most of the schools
I can
don't
get a
do.
notification telling me your child.
Most of them don't do it like that. Most of them, if they give you a detention on the same day, it has to be lunchtime detention.
Yeah.
Oh no, after school they get detention, and if they don't, they know how to manage their behaviour a certain way in the detention, it gets cut down in time. But you see, if they don't manage themselves, they're getting the whole 60 minutes. The school my kids go to don't play.
That sounds good, man. That sounds good. Mixed. My daughter's school is a good school, but the homework, I'm gonna have to look on the app still, man, and see, but the homework is like not that often. When I was in school, I was getting sometimes I was getting 3-4 pieces of homework per day.
Yeah.
You get me? Like, I don't see her coming with that. Like, you get what I'm saying? To the point where it forced me to manage myself. Because I weren't a guy that was doing homework. I used to have to come home and be like, let me go home, have my quick cup of tea and biscuits and that, get changed, sit down at my desk, mash out the work, and by 6 o'clock, like, I'm free. You get me?
Don't go out to play, don't.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's mad times, man. You know what I mean? But you also got to remember as well what you got to factor in as well. And I'm not trying to make excuses for the teachers, but at the same time, I'm not trying to condemn the teachers, because I know their job's hard, and dealing with modern day parents is just a shocker. I would never want to deal with them in abundance like that. You know what I mean? But remember when we was in school, although people like to say a lot, I'm just being real, although some people like to say a lot, there was always things like autism, man, that they just weren't educated about it. I don't believe that there was them things there back in the day. You might have profiled a certain way, but I do believe unless you've got high levels of autism, like extreme cases of autism where it's undeniable, I do believe a lot of autism traits are, like habitual behaviors and thinking. I do believe that. You get me? But now it's been classed as different levels of being under the spectrum. And when we was in school, there wasn't really that. That would just be the lower spectrums of what they would now call autism, was just classed as bad breed, bad behavior. Now there's a diagnosis for it, and the schools have to work with it. So you've got more of that in the classrooms. You've got more, because of cost of living crisis and that, you've got more challenging families that are facing some severe challenges and poverty. You get me? You've got dysfunction, sexual abuse, although it's always been out there. I think our generation, a lot of us were, because the children could only be seen and not heard, we were silent and kind of got on with it. Whereas now, because it's so put out there, which is a good thing, I'm not condemning that, children can talk and schools can get involved and support. So it's coming out more. You're seeing it more transparently in your face that this kid's being, gone through this and that. So you're getting more of that. You're also getting a over alarming amount of children from different countries that don't speak English in the classroom. Do you get what I'm saying? Parents have got, teachers, have got a lot to deal with. A whole lot to deal with. You get me? Which begs me to go on to the next question. Yeah? Which is, if we think about the COVID lockdown, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember there was a stage where, if you could remember, you lot might laugh at this still. There was a stage where every parent all of a sudden developed this magical appreciation because they were at home having to parent their children themselves. One child, 2 children, maybe 3.
Yeah.
And they found it incredibly difficult to engage them for those few months, that we was locked down, and they were like, I really appreciate what the teachers do, their job's so hard. Do you think these parents have got like TikTok memory and they've like all of a sudden forgot how difficult a teacher's job is? Because at that time they were singing their praises.
course they
definitely.
Yeah,
definitely.
It's mad, isn't it? Don't you
They've
think?
got quick time.
That's what I'm saying. Don't you think they should have really and truly up to this day remembered that? And I'm not saying never criticize a teacher, but use that as a sort of motivation to be like, all right, I'm going to criticize the teacher for certain things, but I still appreciate what they do.
That's right. Yeah.
Because teachers are like, they're not public servants, but they're a key member of, public. They're somewhat, they're key workers, isn't it?
No, for real.
They're part of a community. They raise children to some extent.
Yeah, they do.
You know what I'm saying? So they should be appreciated a little bit more. Like, you do a lot. Like, if we're parents, we teach our kid fundamental things, ideally, and we put our kids in school and we liaise with the school, and if there's certain things we want improving, we talk to the school, we recognize what those things are that we want improving. The school will say, all right, try this, try that. We try it at home, or we will say to the school, we're trying this, we're trying that. This is what, can you try and do that at school? And you work together to try and improve certain, areas of development for the child. You know what I'm saying? That's the best way to work it, but parents are just slating the teachers, and it's a bit mad. It's a bit crazy. They've forgotten.
It's easy to shift the responsibility, though, than to actually take responsibility for oneself.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Police officers, well, let me not even mention them, but I'm going to say it just to be nice. Police officers, firemen, nurses, doctors, teachers, I don't know, librarians, youth workers. All these people should be in like a, you know what I mean? Like a category of people that help the community. They're fundamental in the community. You know what I'm saying? Because people don't appreciate them now, but if the government was to open up their mouth and say something like, oh, we're making a new law where, I don't know, we're going to lessen the amount of teachers in schools due to budgets or whatever not. I don't know if that makes any sense, but this gives you a scenario. Due to budgets, and we're now going to have one teacher taking on 2 classes, and it got detrimental, people will be feeling it. But you pressured teachers, and now a lot of teachers are, I don't know if you understand, a lot of teachers are leaving the school. They're not working. They're changing industries.
Yeah, because the love and respect ain't there. So they just get tired of it. They get tired of the disrespect. And you're right, teachers do play a fundamental role in helping to like guide and grow your children with you. Because the teachers who were good to me, I remember them to this day. Like my favorite primary school teacher and my favorite secondary school teacher, like I remember them wholeheartedly because for me they showed genuine care. Like literally, they would always want to know, are you okay, sort of thing.
Yeah.
They play a huge role.
Definitely. Definitely. Have you ever seen that video clip of, I'm going to try and attach it to this episode. Have you ever seen that video clip of Ian Wright when he had a documentary? When you seen it? When his teacher, he's at the stadium and his teacher turns up.
Yeah.
Have you seen it, Genius?
No.
Bro, it's touching, you know?
His story was it just made me like him so much more because I love Ian, right? He's such a cool guy, man. I've met him in person. He's a cool guy. Very humble. And his story was just really, really touching. Yeah. So
his teacher comes, he said he thought his teacher was dead because his teacher was kind of old. You know what I mean? But he's at the football stadium and then the teacher comes from behind him, pause, and says his name, like Ian. And he's like, Mr. whatever his name is, like he's shocked. He turns around. As soon as he sees him, Genius, he takes his hat off You know, that gentleman thing, he takes his hat off and holds it in front of him like, oh my God, mister. And he starts crying, bruv, like,
It was
straight back to his childhood. And he's like,
go look on that, see if we can find it.
He done so much for me, like, because he said he was a key reason why he got where he got.
Hello, Ian. Long time no see. Mr. Pigden. You're alive. I'm alive, he says. How are you doing? I can't believe it. Someone said you was dead. As you see, I'm very much in, and I'm so glad you've done so well with yourself. I don't know what to say. I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
He's from Broccoli, bruv. He's from the ends.
Yeah, because he affirmed him a lot and built him up and told him to be like the best he could be. And yeah, that was beautiful. That was really beautiful.
And these are the kind of relationships you can have with teachers if you apply the right mindset and have a bit of a greater appreciation for them. They can be very key to your life alongside your parents if your parents are operating correctly.
Definitely.
Do you know what I mean?
And no one has the right, perfect way to do it. We all need help. That's why we should work together as a village.
100%.
Literally. Because we can all teach each other different things. You know?
This is it.
Take notes from mums and from dads. We all learn. We can't be ignorant out here because remember, we're not going to be here at one stage and then it's just our children left. And what would you have actually left them with?
They're going to become parents themselves.
Scary.
It's mad, you know what I mean? So listen, let me ask you another question, yeah? So who is to blame for the poor attitude towards teachers? Is it the parents or the children?
Parents.
Why?
Remember, the parents' job it's the parents that bring up the children, innit? So they bring the children to go to school. So why would it be the teacher's problem or be the teacher's responsibility? Does that mean?
So you agreed? Would you say? Is it fair? What do you think, Divine?
I wouldn't say it's the child's responsibility or fault why they have the attitude. I think the parent could be to blame. Because you gotta always remember as well that sometimes you can be a really good parent and you can implement certain things and you don't know you taught your child certain things, but they still want to move different. I was gonna be real old school and bit that they still want to move like one idiot. But you have to understand that they have their own free will, they have their own personality. So sometimes some kids, their parent has drummed it into them, but their spirit just brought bad. You know, but overall, it will seem like it's the parents' fault and responsibility on why there's tension or there isn't good communication between them and the teachers. Literally.
No, you're right. Still, I do agree with what you're saying. I do think they're the minority, those parents that have done a good job, and the kids are moving a bit rebellious same way. But I do think the majority is down to the parents, because I think if the parents had a positive attitude towards teachers, although the child might wobble a little bit and have a bit of a negative attitude towards the teachers, they would see, as you said earlier, Genius, they learn from the behaviours of parents, innit? They would see that their parents' attitude is different. So they would somewhat hold a little level of respect for the teachers. But from the parents are slating the teachers and showing that discontent and frustration and anger towards them, the child's gonna blatantly do that because they're gonna automatically feel like my mum and my dad's on the same side. They mean the same, you know what I'm saying? You know? I'm gonna ask you a brain-picking question. You get me? Brain picker, I labeled this one, you know? Yeah? And this question is, why is it that this poor attitude and expectation towards teachers doesn't exist as much in private schools where parents have to pay expensive fees for their children's education.
Oh,
That's a
That's
brain picker, you know.
that's because, if I'm honest, human beings, 9 times out of 10, maybe 8 times out of 10, they don't appreciate when you do anything for them for free, in a sense.
I like the answer still.
That's human beings for you,
Yeah.
literally.
What do you think, Genius?
Better quality of education and teaching.
But would you think that is a good point as well? Definitely a good point. Both of your points are great. Would you think that if parents are paying big money fees for their children's education, wouldn't they be more determined to challenge things because they're paying for it?
Yeah, definitely. Because obviously it's hard-earned cash, isn't it? But then at the same time, if they know that they're paying for quality, then on the other hand, why would they challenge it? Because obviously they're getting what they're paid for. So they will know that if they're paying this amount of money for their child's education, and they know that obviously the quality that they expect to get, and they expect to see the results, and they will see the results based on obviously the outcome of the education of that child.
So you're saying if they pay for that, they'll definitely see the results if they pay for their child to go private school?
Because obviously at the same time, what a teacher doesn't want is any sort of complaint, because then the justification is, well, it's not free education, so you don't really have any excuse to not be providing top, level of teaching to my child. So yeah, you'll find that you're starting to find anything negative when it's private, because there's a level of expectancy when it comes to the education that's been delivered.
That's a good point still. You don't raise some good points still. Or do you want to add to it though? Yeah, man, although as much as I value your points, I think for a parent to want to believe that, you know what, I'm going to take my money that I earn, whether I can afford it, like, very comfortably, or I'm kind of scraping up and saving and doing it. For a parent to go that far, I think they clearly take education very, very seriously. So because they take education very, very seriously and they're willing to part with that alarming amount of cash to put their child in school, I think them parents have already got a very positive and healthy mindset when it comes to education. Therefore, you just won't get that problem.
Definitely.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, so all of your points are good, man. I'm happy to hear you lot's points as well. But I just wanted to sprinkle that little bit on there, you get me?
Yeah,
So,
man.
final input before we close up the episode, yeah? What can be done to encourage parents to have realistic expectations of teachers in the future?
What can be done to have experience?
What can be done to encourage parents to have realistic expectations of children, of teachers in the future?
One, definitely communication. Communication. I'll give you a prime example. What I say, anytime I go to the parents' evening, and I make sure that, I build up, me and the missus build up a good relationship with the teacher. I say, you know what, if there's any concerns, this is our mobile number, this is our email address. Please keep us up to date with, the progress. If there's any concerns, you can reach us. Let's work closely together so that, we can make sure that if there's anything that needs to be addressed, it can be addressed. So, this is also said, obviously in front of my son, so he understands that, we communicate
together.
Yeah, because it's imperative. We always have this conversation of, there's any concerns, like the other day we got an email to say, this is happening. So we love that. That's what I mean. I feel there's a breakdown in terms of communication when it comes to teachers and the parents. You also find as well that where some parents are, maybe doing 2 jobs, or a lot of parents don't even have time to come parents' evening. I know that because obviously sometimes when they're choosing slot, there's plenty of slots like, oh, this parent hasn't turned up, or
Yeah, that is true.
you could come early, we've got an appointment for 5:30, and they're like, actually, I can see you now because so-and-so's not turned up.
Yeah.
So does that mean, I feel that as well, in order for that to be an established relationship, there has to be a level of respect. You as a parent has to also make sure that you're showing interest in your child's education as well. Does that mean? Because when you do that, it shows the teacher as well as the school that you're interested and you genuinely care. When you miss parents' evening after parents' evening, there's no interest, the child turns up late. I just don't feel that, when anything goes wrong or for whatever reason, I don't really think you've got a leg to stand on when it comes to addressing certain things because you are not present. You don't show any interest. You don't know how the child is getting on at school. And, when things are brought to your attention in terms of maybe, timekeeping, if the child's been disruptive, if there's certain things that's not, happening, and you show zero interest, then it's a problem. And I think once again, this is a common thing where there's a lack of interest from a lot of parents when it comes to their child's education. So I mean, so I truly believe communication is definitely the key. So I mean, a genuine interest, and also just taking time out to make sure you even attend, things like if the child is having things like sports day, certain school events. So I mean, even finding out from the school in terms of any additional sort of support in terms of making sure that there are more homework, for example. Just interest as a whole, I think would definitely make a big difference. So I mean.
Yeah, that's good points. Definitely what you've raised there. I think every parent should try their best to, be as invested as the examples that you've given there. Do you know what I mean? However, I would say that sometimes it is difficult because, because for instance, your personal situation is you work quite close to home. So you can get to a school, if you know what I'm saying, your children's school pretty quickly. Even if it was in an emergency situation, you can consult your manager and you can probably get to the school, I'm imagining, within 20 minutes. Yeah. Whereas, it could be a situation where your child could be going to school in the area that you live, but you've got a job in central London. You see what I'm saying? So that's where it can become a little bit more tedious and challenging. So we have to be realistic with all those points that you've given are great, but I do believe that parents should attend a certain percentage of those meetings. Do you get what I'm saying? And if they can't attend them, they should want to chase up that information. So whether it's sending an email, look, I'm not able to make the parents' evening. Is there any way that you can email me the information or post it to me securely or whatever it is? Or can I come and pick it up after school and can we set up a meeting another time where I can kind of follow through and go through it? Or they should do those kind of things and follow through. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Any suggestions from you, Divine, with the final input?
Yeah, no, I agree with all the points you guys have made, especially as being a mum who's been on both sides of the coin. So there's been times when I've been like super active and on point with stuff. And then there's times when, as life goes, sometimes we might hit a bump in the road and we're
100%.
struggling.
Yeah.
I've always found that when you communicate and say, look, it's not just that we're being lapsy-daisy. This has happened at home, like we're going through a bereavement or some kind of change which has impacted us, has happened. You tend to have better relationships, definitely with the teachers. And it definitely helps contribute to the type of education that your child is now going to get from those individual teachers or headmaster or headmistress. So, yeah, I think we do have a duty of responsibility, but just communicate. You're a human being. It's okay. Do you know what I mean? Don't tell them all your business.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Just the stuff that needs to be said.
But just if there's a major change going on, like you're suffering a loss or you're not feeling very well, you can say that. And a lot of the people that work in the school I found have actually been okay and understanding. And then we could put something in place where we're working together to get back on track because we all fall off sometimes.
Good points. Divine, and very important point you made there, definitely, about if you're going through certain situations and, you know, challenging situations and you feel like it's impacted your family or your child, you kind of notify the school from before. 'Cause I think that's very good, because then what you do is you're letting the school know that this challenging situation might impact your child's behavior or ability to learn in school. They can identify it from before and kind of work with it and be like, oh, I see it now. The problem is when you're a parent that don't say nothing and that child's behaviors start to occur, what happens is teachers could easily judge the child or label the child as naughty. Then you come and you explain it to them afterwards, but the judgment is already in their head. You know what I'm saying?
It's true.
So it does work in your favor to be transparent with the school and let them know that we've been through this situation and whatever. My child might display behaviors, or they might display that they're struggling to focus in the classroom, or they might even lash out certain times. Just be mindful of it so nobody gets hurt. Obviously, you as the parent as well, that might entail that you might not want to turn up to a parent's evening or a sports day because you're not in the right frame of mind. So for you to let the child, the parent, the teachers know, but one of your neighbours might come down and say, let me support the child for her instead, or do you get what I'm saying? Like, it's one of them ones. So yeah, those are very good factors, man. You get me? I'm happy with the way this episode turned out, guys. Very good input. You know what I mean? Some very good, strong pointers. But as we, can all agree, it's a mad time that we're living in, man, when it comes to these, parents' attitude towards teachers and children's attitudes towards their teachers. Remember, I'm gonna do like a Jerry Springer final thought, man. It's not in your best interest, parents, to have a negative attitude towards your children's teacher or teachers. It's not in your best interest for your child to have a negative attitude towards teachers. Because like I said earlier, whether you like the teacher or not, whether you like the teaching style or not, yes, you can challenge. I'm not saying you must just accept, but you got to challenge things in the right way. You got to challenge things professionally. You can't go to school with a dragged up or ghetto or dysfunctional display of behavior, and then you're just going to create problems for your family. And ultimately you're going to create problems for your child, because then you're going to be labeled. Then your child is going to get less attention from the teachers. You know what I'm saying? That's true. You have to understand that it's in your best interest to find a way to help encourage your child to get the GCSEs that they need before they leave school. Each teacher who is teaching or delivering a particular subject, they each hold the key to that GCSE. When you have a negative attitude towards them, the teachers ain't going to help you. They're going to look at you sideways. They're not going to want to hear you. They're going to deal with your child a certain way as well, because they're human beings. If you make them feel like, dealing with you is just emotionally draining, they're going to avoid you. That means when your child is struggling on certain subjects and they'll be like, your teacher might see it and look and see that the child's struggling, but your child might not be vocal enough to say, sir, miss, I'm struggling. But what the teacher might normally do is say, oh, Billy, I can see you're struggling. Do you need some help with that? But because of how you carry on, they'll see Billy struggling and just turn their back and leave it. Then your child ends up without the maths, because they mashed up the relationship with their maths teacher, and you, the parent, help co-sign that by going to the school and having unrealistic demands towards that teacher and stressing the teacher out. Do you know what I'm saying? So be very mindful of how much we actually need these teachers, and be very mindful of how much we need to show some respect. You know what I mean? Towards these teachers, because you same parents that are coming at the teachers like this, when you're at your job, I'm pretty sure that you lot are going to want to demand respect. So why can't you give it to the teachers who hold the key to your children's future in their hand? You get me? Yeah? So listen, on that note, I'm going to say bye from your man Verbz.
It's myself, Fisher Geniusman.
And peace out from your girl at Divine Lady 23.
Listen, respect you guys for such a brilliant episode. You don't know the thing. Get me? Great vibes, great conversation. I hope the people can take something from this. And if you disagree with our opinions, it's not a problem. You can jump in the comment section, but do it respectfully. Otherwise, your comments will be removed and you might get blocked. You get me? But for all those that like and value what we're saying, whether they agree with it or not, you've taken something out of it, please do your best to support us. Subscribe, like, share. You know what I mean? It's very important because we're trying to get our platform to reach more masses of people, although we love and respect all of you lot's support. Do you get me? Yeah? So listen, people, big up to yourselves, and we'll see you next week on the next episode of the Triggered
Thoughts Show.
Big up, people. Big up, yeah?